So today would be a good day to celebrate Mother's Day. Fortunately, I think, it's not Mother's Day, because the passage about Wisdom Woman, I'm calling her Wisdom Woman, the passage about Wisdom Woman this morning in the middle of September gives us a chance to ponder for a bit the meaning of motherhood and womanhood on a day when it's not expected by the Hallmark card industrial complex. We do it because we want to. However, as we move through the first weeks of the school year, it is an appropriate moment to express our gratitude and appreciation of mothers as they kickstart the machine by which school clothes are bought and vaccinations brought up to date and lunch plans provided for and textbooks procured, backpacks and notebooks purchased, carpools worked out, opening day jitters smoothed, permission slips completed, and all the unpaid psychic labor that many women perform in making sure that these and untold other essential and seasonal tasks are accomplished. So first, a bit of brief context on this passage about Wisdom Woman. The book of Proverbs in the Hebrew Bible is just after the book of Psalms and just before the book of Ecclesiastes. We have a psalm every Sunday, so we're pretty familiar with what the Psalms look like. And most of us probably also know at least the first part of Ecclesiastes chapter 3, which begins, "There is a time for everything, a time to be born, a time to die." And there are those of us who may remember the 1965 hit by the Byrds. You don't have to raise your hand if you were alive when that happened. "To everything, turn, turn, turn." You don't have to have been alive then to know the song. So anyway, it's a great song, and that's from the book of Ecclesiastes. These books are part of a broader category of Bible literature called wisdom literature. And we might define this wisdom literature as texts, maxims, sayings, aphorisms, poems, riddles, and the like, that arise out of the rich human experience that we have as human beings. And not only the rich experience, but also the reflection upon that experience in light of God's providential care for us and for all creation. And for sure, some of you probably know some of the more familiar proverbs from the book of Proverbs. "Trust the Lord with all your heart and lean not unto your own understanding," or "The fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom," or I bet this is the one that most of us probably have heard somewhere before, "Spare the rod, spoil the child." However, it's not just from the book of Proverbs that we get Proverbs. Jesus used Proverbs all the time. And some of these, I bet, are familiar to us. "Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. Do not worry about tomorrow. Let tomorrow worry about itself." Or, "Render unto Caesar that which is Caesar's. Render unto God that which is God's." Or, a personal favorite of mine that needs a lot of work in my life, "Let one who was without sin be the first to throw the stone." So Jesus talked a lot using these wisdom phrases. So this morning's passage, which comes at the very end of the book of Proverbs, is a summation, if you will, of the preceding 30 chapters, full of personifications of wisdom as a woman. And in fact, last week, our Hebrew Bible reading was from Proverbs, and you may recall wisdom is personified as a woman shouting on the street corner and nobody listens. How familiar an experience is that for women in this congregation? Nobody's listening. So this passage from the very last book of Proverbs is a fitting embodiment, the epitome of the virtues that epitomize wisdom, and adding strength to the interpretation that wisdom is a woman, and that the pursuit of wisdom is the highest human calling. The pursuit of the wisdom, of the knowledge of God, is the highest human calling. Now, a textual note, if you look at the first line, a capable woman, that actually is kind of a limp translation of the Hebrew, the underlying Hebrew words. If you take the noun for capable, or the adjective for capable, with the noun for woman and put them together, a more accurate translation would be something like strong woman, or better, woman of worth, or even better, a warrior-like woman. That's really what the Hebrew drives towards. Capable is good, but it's kind of meh, you know? Warrior-like is what the text is pushing towards. Now, not speaking for all women, or any women, as I'm not a woman, but it seems to me that you might be forgiven for seeing in this portrait an impossible ideal. At the first service, it happened that Tracy was reading it, and she said to us afterwards, you know, as I was reading this, I was like going, no, impossible. So we have a sense that this seems impossible. You know, we might roll our eyes saying, like, well, when does this superwoman rest? I do enough as it is. Or you might think to yourself, that is me, and I never rest. As one scholar notes, not that you have to be a scholar to note this woman is working hard everywhere, on everything, for everyone, from dawn to dusk. For a generation of women who have taken on more roles and more responsibilities than ever before, and yet still report feeling like they've not done enough. This ideal is not only unattainable, but demoralizing, discouraging. On the other hand, while we have to say that overall the Bible is pretty patriarchal, which is to say it comes out of a male-dominated society, while that is true, here are some things that this passage does not say. It does say that this woman is a wife, but it does not say that she derives her worth and value from her husband, right? She's an independent entity. And second, while the passage says that she's a good mom, her children praise her, and so forth, it does not say anything about pregnancy or childbirth, which were often key credentials for true womanhood in the ancient world. And in many places in our society, that's still kind of like if you're not a mom, you know. The passage doesn't say that. Nowhere does it say her primary purpose is to be married or to bear children. Third, the passage doesn't say anything about her appearance, her shape, her weight, whether she has wrinkles or not, whether she needs a makeover or a new outfit. In fact, verse 30 says, it's not numbered in your bulletin, unfortunately, but verse 30 says, beauty is in vain. And in a culture obsessed with appearance, especially with the appearance of women, the emphasis on the wisdom woman's skills and competencies and achievements, her warrior-like capabilities, if you will, this is an important takeaway, not just for women and daughters, but for men and our sons and grandsons and the men and boys in our life. And I say this as the father of a 16-year-old daughter. It's the emphasis on excellence and achievement in this passage rather than on some narrow, culturally confining definition of external beauty that I want to hold up. Furthermore, a passage like this can be heard not as one more impossible ideal to live up to, but rather as an invitation from God to imagine and know that we all have worth in and of ourselves, that women and girls can do anything that they set their minds on, and they don't have to be perfect, that their value rests in their character and in their achievements and in God's love. We're not defined by what we do, but who we are, and that is God's beloved children. That's what defines us, not some rosy glow of the latest skin product. So on this not Mother's Day, when we lift up women and wives and girls, let's remember this wisdom woman who gives us what we need to know. Amen.